As we say in hide and go seek, ready or not, here I come. So, good afternoon to you. Your Bylaws Committee, I had the privilege of serving as chair of the Bylaws Committee this past year. Our Bylaws Committee members were Kathy Smith from Nebraska, Clarine Herding from Illinois, Jim Carroll from Ohio, and our staff liaison was Alfonso Alexander. Thank you all for your hard work, your commitment, and your dedication to the task that we had. We had a very busy year. We had a number of agenda items, a full agenda, as a matter of fact, that was presented to us for our consideration and discussion. And a difference between down south and up north is that we had a lot of conference calls rather than telephonic calls. But we had numerous conference calls. We had one face-to-face meeting in Nashville, and we had a lot of discussion on a lot of items. However, for today's report, I want to focus on, Mark, notice I said focus, want to focus on three major points, or three major topics. My report will be condensed, it'll be brief, and I do not have a PowerPoint presentation. The first focus point deals with a reformatting of the bylaws, of the current bylaws. Your Bylaws Committee felt it was very important that we reformat or renumber the current bylaws to make them easier to read, use, and reference. We reformatted, we renumbered the official bylaws to include sequential numbers for each section of the bylaws, each subsection, and each paragraph within the section. Our intent in this process was to make the reformatting or the renumbering to make it user-friendly and easier for our members to navigate. We made no changes to the existing or current bylaws in this reformatting project. Our second focus point dealt with NASBA committee structure and terms. And this was in response to a proposed bylaw amendment by one of our member boards. We studied that proposed amendment. We discussed it, we studied it, we discussed it with regard to committee structure and term limits. And the result of our effort was to make a recommendation to the board of directors in the form of a resolution for some change with regard to committee chair qualifications and committee structure. As you all are aware, under the current bylaws, the members and chairs of standing and other committees are appointed by the chair or the incoming chair of NASBA. It was the strong feeling of our committee that we did not unduly want to tie the hands of the incoming chair in this appointment process, but at the same time, we recognize the benefits of this resolution. And what I would like to do, if you would allow me, I would like to read you the major parts of this, the 3 points of this resolution so that I get it right, because they are important. The NASBA Board of Directors encourages the chair to appoint chairs and members of committees with a preferred goal of having standing and other committee memberships comprised of at least a majority of delegates. Second point, that the NASBA Board of Directors encourages the chair to appoint chairs of standing committees and other committees who are members of the Board of Directors. Third point, that the NASBA Board of Directors encourages the chair to appoint members and chairs of committees with a view towards seeking routine rotation or turnover in those who serve as committee members or chairs. The objective of this resolution is clearly stated in that it desires to encourage broader participation in NASBA standing and other committees by all of our member boards and delegates. This resolution was presented to the Board of Directors at its July meeting. It was approved by the Board of Directors, and it is formally presented and stated on page 1 of the August State Board report. So if you need to look at that, that's fine. And it's a good report, and it is a formal statement of what the bylaws, how they were reported, and the changes that, well, let me rephrase that. There were no changes made. And I need to tell you that we did not make any changes in this resolution to the content of the existing bylaws. It was a resolution presented to the Board of Directors and passed by the Board of Directors. The third point was that the Board of Directors at the July meeting approved a continuing effort on the part of the Bylaws Committee to begin the development of a publication, and we think this publication is going to be called an appendix, containing documentation of Board of Director resolutions and actions that that are going to be extracted from the board minutes that assist in the governance of the association, but these resolutions and actions did not elevate to a bylaw change. Examples would be the item I just discussed in our focus point 2 with regard to committee structure and terms, the guidelines for the examination review board, and then the new NASBA position statement for vetting policy. None of the bylaws that we have discussed in this meeting, and you know, it pains me to say this because we worked really, really hard, but nothing that we did last year resulted in a change in the existing current bylaws of NASBA, and therefore there is no vote required or needed by the member delegates. We had a project to be addressed and will be addressed this coming year with regard to a reorganization of the bylaws, where we're going to try to reorganize the existing bylaws and get all the items, for instance, like on the nominating committee, all of the parts of the bylaws that deal with nominating committee process, nominating committee qualifications, nominating committee structure, try to get all that into one section. And that's just an example of the reorganization. That is going to be one of our projects this coming year. And I just want to thank you again for the privilege of serving as your bylaws chair for this year. Thanks to my committee. Thank you for your attention, and Mr. Chair, that concludes my report.